Oh my goodness. The last podcast, I got so many new subscribers. So welcome or welcome back if you've been here from the start. It is so good to be building a community here and to be getting comments on videos and to be chatting about knitting. So thank you so much for all of those new subscribers. My name is Angela and this is the Angela Makes podcast. This is episode 12 and I bring you it from just outside Belfast in Northern Ireland. So today I have a couple of finished objects. I have a number of whips. So the whips are split into two sections. One, an update on where I was the last time, and two, a couple of new cast-ons. So some of them you'll have seen before, but it's just a quick update on where I'm at, and the rest I'll give you a little bit more detail on. So as you will see, I have finished my Lady Violet sweater, and yes, I found the yarn. I had it very carefully hidden so that I wouldn't lose it, and then I couldn't find it. Who else does that? It can't just be me. So I found the extra yarn and I have added length, so I will put in a video of me standing up and wearing it. I made the arms a good bit longer as well. Now they're still, I like them kind of, is that bracelet length? I don't like them coming down over my hands and they're getting in the way every time I go to wash my hands or anything like that. But I did lengthen the body, I think by about 1.5 inches. I had it all cast off and I started to do the arms. The sleeves. I tried the sleeves on. No, I didn't. I tried the whole sweater on. And I wasn't happy with the sleeves here. I wanted them that little bit longer. I still had plenty of yarn, so I decided to keep going. I finished those off, tried it on, and thought actually it's still a little bit short. So I ripped the cast off out and added about 4 or 5 more rows. Now I just did extra rows of ribbing, which again, I don't mind a slightly deeper ribbing, so it was fine. Did a slightly deeper ribbing and it's turned out perfectly. I absolutely love it, and I know I say that about every sweater, but this is just the style of sweater that I can pull on. I feel tidy. I feel like it's not just a sweatshirt. I can wear it with jeans, I can wear it a little bit more dressed up, and I think this colour allows you to wear it a little bit more dressed up. I also, this is the first time that I treated myself to a hand-dyed mohair. I did wear this yesterday for a bit and it didn't annoy me, not the way that the Drops Kid Silk mohair. Now, my budget may allow me to treat myself to hand-dyed mohair or more expensive mohair every now and again, but consciously I don't like doing that. So as I showed the last time, I want to try and find a more budget friendly mohair that I'm comfortable wearing. So I probably will treat myself every now and again to a mohair that is hand dyed, but it is not something that I would do every time. As I say, I got this in Giddy Aunt Yarn sale just before they changed over to hand sparring yarn. And just to go through the yarn while I'm talking about it, so this was their labels at the time, and this is the Blackcurrant Jam, and it's their merino twist sock, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 meters per 100 grams, and there was still a good bit of colour, not a good bit, there was still colour that came out whenever I blocked this, but it's such a deep colour that that's exactly what I expected. And then this is the mohair. So again, kid silk mohair or kid mohair silk lace, 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, and 420 meters per 50 grams. The merino was blackcurrant jam, and the mohair was Ursula. And I think I mentioned the last time, as Inspiring hand-dyed yarn, they still have the blackcurrant jam and they're still dyeing it. I think the Ursula was a special colourway. And this is what I have left. So this is the blackcurrant jam. That colour's coming out. That's kind of the colour of it. That's even a bit bright. It's more the dark of the top of it. And then that's the Ursula mohair. So 19.5 grams of the blackcurrant jam and 12 of the mohair. So I will still be able to add that in to something, to add a little bit of colour, whether it's a scarf or a hat, I'm not quite sure, but beautiful, beautiful colours. So that is the Lady Violet. I changed nothing else other than the length and the length of the sleeves. I had mentioned the last time, so when I did a swatch, I preferred the swatch on 5mm. They recommend a 6mm needle, but when I did the 6mm, it was too open a gauge. I didn't like the fabric, so I decided to go to the 5mm, which gave me, I can't remember, I'll put it on screen what my stitch gauge was. And then instead of doing the first size, I did the second size. I haven't measured this, but again, this is perfect. I don't like anything too tight, and it's just lovely. It's just a lovely fit. The sleeves are lovely. I don't like a tight sleeve, and while this isn't hanging a lot, it is just enough that the sleeves don't feel like they're hugging me. So absolutely love it. And as I say, I had 2 skeins of the merino, 2 of the mohair, and I have a little bit left, and that was my gauge, at a higher gauge than the pattern, and I still had plenty left. So really good pattern, really good in terms of sizes. It is supposed to be a little bit more positive ease. What is the recommendation? 2 to 10 inches. So again, you can play with that depending on your preference. A lot of people have said in the past, whenever I've been watching podcasts, that if you're not sure of your recommended positive ease, then measure a jumper that you're really happy wearing. And that was something that I did. So I know what I want in terms of positive ease. I also don't like ones that are really oversized, because I'm short as it is, and I feel that oversized just makes me look even shorter. But that could just all be in my head. So yeah, as I say, there's 5, so it's not massively, well, I say it's not massively size inclusive, but the smallest is 46 inches. So if you were going for 10 inches of positive ease, that would be a 36 chest measurement. And it goes up to 63 inch, so you're looking at 53 inch chest, and the numbers are such that you could work it out. You could alter the stitch count to fit in between those, or to get something a little bit more. This is definitely beautiful in terms of the lace. I know using the darker colour you can't see it as well, but it is there, and it just feels a little bit more elegant than a plain raglan top. So I couldn't speak more highly of it, but again, just to be completely upfront, you know how I feel about twin set and purl patterns. So this is the Lady Violet by Rachel Fletcher of Twin Set and Purl. I don't think I said that at the start. So again, high praise, absolutely love it. Beautiful sweater, and I love the yarn. So that's my first finished object since the last podcast, and I have one more. So I finished my Wigget Socks by Nancy Wheeler. So I spoke quite a bit about this the last time, And I had, one of the things that I had mentioned was that I wasn't keen on the garter. So there was the garter edge where you knit 3 at the start of the heel flap. Is that the heel flap? It is the heel flap. So when you're working your 1 by 1 for the heel flap, then this portion here is knit 3 on both sides. And I don't think I'm going against the pattern in any way to say that. Now, someone in the comments, and I apologise, I can't remember the name, had suggested that I had said I didn't like the pickup. I didn't like that I kind of, because it was garter, you can't see as nicely. I think I'm so used to a slip stitch and it's so easy to see where you're picking up. Whereas this one, I wasn't 100% sure. Sorry, I have mohair all over my face now from this jumper. And they had said to do the same as you normally do. Slip a stitch at the start of each row, or at least a start and end and whatever. So I did that on my second sock. And this is I much prefer it. Much prefer the pickup. It was much easier to pick up. So thank you for that recommendation. I don't know why I didn't think of it myself, and that's where the comments are so brilliant to be getting going with the new subscribers and everything else. So that really helped. I still don't know that I would do it again, but it does add a little bit of extra detail. So if I was looking something different on a heel, I would definitely slip the stitch rather than knitting everything. But I absolutely love this pattern. I love the detail of the texture on the back of the leg, and I love this bit with the slip stitch running down the entire foot or the entire sock. These were the Wildflower yarn sock set, which I had got last year as part of their yarn club, and it's beautiful. I absolutely love these colours. So that was my other finished object for this particular podcast. I don't really have anything else to say. I have talked about these. I do knit on a 2.25mm 9-inch circular. And I do use my double pointed needles for the heel, and I use a magic loop for the toe. I have gone through how I knit socks, and I will link it somewhere above my head. I had created a tutorial. As I said, I just found that it was really useful, especially when I was starting out, and again then when I couldn't work a few things out, to watch different tutorials. So I recorded how I knit a pair of socks, and the different techniques that I use. So I've gone through that in that particular tutorial, but these were really lovely. Nancy also has, so that you don't get a hole in this corner, she has a really nice method of picking up that stitch, which I liked. But overall, absolutely beautiful. These are the Wigget Socks by Knits It Happy, Nancy Wheeler. Absolutely beautiful. That's me on to whips. So as I said, I'll split these. I will talk about the ones that you've seen before, and I will then look at a couple of new ones. So the first one, and this one will be really quick. The first one that I'm going to go over is the NYX Sweater. So I'm not too much further on, but what I had said the last time was if I got to about 3 or 4 inches of the body, of the stockinette of the body, then I would try it on and make sure, because my row gauge was off, and it was off by quite a bit. So I wanted to make sure that the armhole depth was enough, because as I mentioned there, I don't like anything too tight, and I didn't want around the top of my arm being too tight. So I tried it on. I will put a video in. There was enough of, now it maybe could do with a tiny bit when I've tried, and I'm still a little bit concerned that when I go to pick up for sleeves that it will like tighten that in somehow. But I do think there's enough. I expected when I tried this on that it would be right tucked in under my underarm, but it's not. So I'm going to continue. I have my light bulb markers in at every inch so that I know what I'm doing. So I have about 3.5 inches done. So I continue, I just do 3 or 4 rows and I put it away. I'm in no rush for this now with it coming into the spring summer. I am still absolutely loving the colours, and when I tried it on I really liked it. So I'll continue working on it, but I'm in no immediate rush for this one. So that's the update on that. I will put a link to the video where I talked about the yarn if you're interested in the yarn that I'm using. I am using a 4mm. I'm not quite sure what the pattern suggests, but I'm using a 4mm with the yarn that I'm using, and there are 2 options on that sweater, just the yoke, or you can do an all over pattern, so I'm just doing the yoke. So that's just a quick update on that particular one. Then the other thing that I had gone through the last time, I had just started a test knit for Twin Satin Pearl. So Jo has another new shawl design, the Alexander shawl, and it is stunning. The more that I work on it, it's going to be a contender for the Simon shawl, and that's something that in the test knit we're talking about. If you haven't looked up their shawls, I'll put a photo of my Simon. I did it in an electric orange and a neon pink, and I wear it all the time. I absolutely love it. But I think this is going to be a really high contender to the Simon. So I'll go through the yarns first of all, quickly again. So this is a locally hand-dyed yarn. It is by Woolly Adventures, who aren't dyeing yarn at the minute, but they do still have a few bits and pieces on their Etsy store. And this is the Cappuccino colourway. It's a sock yarn, and there is 425 meters per 100 grams. And then the other one is, now I did admit this the last time, there's a lovely like pink colour off that. I ordered yarn off AliExpress. This was a cashmere to try it, and you get the anti-pilling cone with it. So these are 50-gram balls. I'm over halfway and I still have a lot of the 50 grams. So I wasn't sure what the weight of this is. I've done a little bit more investigation, and I think there's about 360 meters, if the information I found is correct, per 50 grams. However, I'm not noticing a great difference when I'm knitting it with the 4-ply, because this is 425 per 100 versus 360, 380 per 50, but I'm not noticing a difference. And this, isn't this gorgeous? Hopefully, I can't quite see the camera, but hopefully you're getting how glorious this is. I just love this, and it is such a simple pattern. Now, a few of the testers, so you'll see these blocks, they're in 10 stitch blocks, and they have put stitch markers to keep themselves right. But I absolutely love this. So this will be a crescent shaped shawl. If you have knit Twin Satin Pearl, if you've knit one of Jo's before, you will know that you start at the tip. I'm now, as I say, I'm just over halfway, but I'm knitting, sorry, there's a small, medium and large. I am doing the medium, and I will get it out of, so for the 2 colours, 1 skein of each colour in 100 grams. I am over halfway, and have 96 stitches. So that's the most stitches that I will have in this particular pattern. As I say, there is a small and there is a large. The large I think would be lovely during the winter, and maybe if you were to hold one of the colours, maybe double mohair, to give you that real coziness and warmth, or an alpaca maybe, something like that. But absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to have this finished. I just think it is such a stunning. Now I am using a more variegated yarn, as you've seen there with the Woolly Adventures, but I'm just loving the design. Absolutely gorgeous. So the Alexander shawl, the test knit is due to finish on the 11th of April. So I imagine Jo will have it out quite quickly after that, coming up on Easter probably. So keep an eye. But in the meantime, go have a look at the Simon, because it is as addictive as this one. So that's my test knit. I've made quite a good bit of progress on that. Again, it's very, is it potato chippy? Where you can just sit while you're watching a podcast or a TV show. And then the other pattern that I had talked about were the Rusty Socks by Anne Tucker, or Woolen Knots. So I now have two. I still don't have heels, and we'll talk about that now, but I have two, and I absolutely love this design. Absolutely stunning. So my dilemma, as I said the last time, was that when I go to put the heels in, I wasn't sure that I had enough of this rust left to do the heel, and I don't. So I'm knitting these in Drops Fable, and that's what I have left. I think it's 3.5 grams. So I might get one heel out of it, but I'm not getting two. I'm doing a slightly different heel than the one that Anne suggests, purely because I didn't know if I would have enough. So I have plenty of the off-white left in the Drops Fable, and that is the colour that I've used here. I think it will look okay, but now that I've got to this stage I'm panicking, because I don't want to put it in and it just looks so stark. Although I suppose I could take it back out and try and order another ball, because even if it was a different shade, no, even if it was a different lot number, it should still, so that's my dilemma. I might try putting one heel in the off-white and then see how we go. So I will update you again in the next podcast, but these are the Rusty Socks and they are divine. And none of the colour work is difficult. There is one row where I caught floats. Everything else you don't need to catch floats. And Summerlee Knits, whenever she talks about her colour work, she picks up a yarn, she drops it, she picks up the next yarn, she drops it. Now she's still picking it up. Her contrast colour she's picking up from underneath. But I quite liked her method, because I feel like you're not pulling too much in terms of the tension, and you get a bit more of an even tension. So I would definitely recommend having a look at some of her tutorials in terms of her colour work and her socks, because it definitely helps in terms of nice, consistent. And so even though that's colour work, you can see that I still have a nice bit of stretch, but because of the way that Anne has designed this, you're not catching floats, so you're not having that tightness within your floats. I'll turn it inside out as well so that you can see, but other than my bright neon pink for my heel, you can see that it's lovely and neat on the inside as well. So they're the Rusty Socks by Anne Tucker of Woolen Knots, and I will show you the finished pair in the next podcast. I will definitely have them finished. I might only have one heel, but we can talk about that at that stage. I'd only finished the toe on the second sock last night, so I haven't got to the point of putting in the second heel. And then I had just shown you the start of this sock in the last podcast, so I now have one finished. So this is the Picotee sock by Twinset and Pearl. It's a Rachel Fletcher design. And as I had mentioned, and I will link the podcast again, they have a KAL running to the end of March. So we're the 23rd of March today. So there is still time to enter. You don't need, I think you maybe need to finish one sock. But there's still plenty of time to finish one sock. These Picotee socks are shorties. As you know, I like my shorty socks, but these are shorties. I haven't adapted this pattern in any way. It's the lovely Pico edge, heel flap and gusset, normal toe where you have the regular decreases, and the stitch pattern is just beautiful. So this is another old Giddy Aunt yarn Christmas colourway that I'm using for these, and I love them. They're really, really pretty. So I will continue to work on this sock as well, but at least I have a couple of socks cleared off my whips pile. The new whip that I want to talk about is another KAL, and it's with Well Loved Knits and Woolly Knit. So this had come up on my Instagram feed. I do follow Woolly Knits and Well Loved Knits, and I have always been so intrigued by the Woolly Knit cones. I did get 2 cones 2 years ago for Mother's Day, and they've sat in my pile because I don't know what was stopping me using them. I've no idea. I should have just got stuck in, but I didn't. So whenever this post came up, it's called the Unlikely Pairs KAL, and the idea is that you pick an unlikely pair, whether that's colour, whether that's yarn weight, whether that is the composition of the yarn, and you knit something. It can be a sock, it can be a child's garment, it can be a sweater, it can be whatever you want. So it's quite loose in terms of the rules of the KAL, and you don't even have to have it finished, you have to have it started. So it was running from the start of March until the 7th of April, I believe. And Woolly Knit have 20% off if you buy 2 of the cones. So the idea being that you would pick 2 random colours. So as you all know, I have wanted more of the vests or the slipovers. So I decided that I was going to join in this KAL. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get, but I have started. So I got their 100% British wool, and I got the first colour that I chose was my favourite colour, which is this purple. And it's called Purple Heather. Purple Heather, and it is 1037. So these cones are 4-ply. I ordered the 4-ply, and then I realised I'm going to hold it double, but I couldn't decide. I initially thought I might hold it single and do 4-ply, but when I knitted up, when I did my swatch and blocked it, I didn't like it. So then I held it double and blocked it, and I absolutely loved it, just for the gauge that I wanted. So 500 grams of 4-ply, but you have 470 meters per 100 grams. So it's huge, absolutely huge. And these are £35 without the discount. £35 for 500 grams. I had heard quite a few people talking about how rustic they are, and yes, it's rustic, but if you remember my no frills, I did it in the Holst garn to me, this is by no means as rustic as the Holst garn, and it is much, much nicer to knit with than the Holst garn. So far I am really impressed. So this was my colour, and I decided to pair it with something that I wouldn't typically pair it with. And this is what I've gone for. The Pea Pod colourway. And it's actually gorgeous. It's a really lovely colourway. So this is also the 100% British wool. 500 grams, 4-ply, 470 metres per 100 grams. And yeah, so as you'll see, I have already taken yarn off. So what I did, because I want to hold it double, I wound off a ball. And I'm hoping that I've wound off enough that I don't need to cut it at any point, and I can continue. I don't need to join in another bit. And this is how far I have got. So it's a vest, and I'm completely tangled up here. It's a vest. I've started the shoulder shaping. It's the Hello Friend vest by Leslie Friend. She has a podcast as well. I came across it this week, and it is just a completely, I'll put a picture up, completely plain vest, but it just looks lovely. It just looks so, so nice. So although her vest is completely plain, what I intend to do is to build in the purple either on the ribbing, or I might do a tiny bit of colour work just at the bottom and then finish off, like almost not fade into the purple, because you can't really fade particularly well from pea green into purple. But I might fade or do something and then finish off the ribbing in purple at the bottom at least. So watch this space, but I have cast on. I have the shoulder shaping done. So I'm now knitting straight for a certain amount of inches, and then I will start to bring in the front and join in the round. So I'm not going to do any colour work at the top. What I had kind of hoped was that then I could do a reverse colourway and have the purple with the green, but you know, I'll get carried away with inspiration from something else. So that is the Unlikely Pairs KAL by Well Loved Knits and Woolly Knit, and they currently have the 20% on 2 cones until the 7th of April. I was looking at their DK last night, so it's 205 metres per 100 grams, and again they're 500 gram cones, £35 for a cone, so they're really well priced. There are definitely more colour choices at the minute in the 4-ply, but some beautiful, beautiful colours, and they do have the purple heather in the DK. I didn't buy anything, I haven't bought anything more, but that is also a acquisition from the last podcast. So that's kind of everything. I'm going to continue working on the test knit for Jo of Twin Set and Pearl. I have another test knit starting today. It is for Rebecca of Journey Through Yarn. She is based in Scotland and put out a test call for the Harbour Vest. So she has put it on her Instagram. I'll put a photo of it up here. And it again, you know that I am completely taken with vests at the minute, but I just love the cable detail on this one. So I'm just waiting on everything coming through. It's due to start today, and my intention is to use another woolly knit cone that I said I hadn't used, but it's in a very pale pink, and I think it'll be really nice in the vest for something over the summer, and a nice bright colour. Well, not bright, but a pale summery colour. So it will be the Harbour Vest by Journey Through Yarn. As I say, I'm due to start it today. I think it runs until May, and then it'll be released at that stage. So again, I will just check with Rebecca, but I think I can share as I'm going through that test knit so that you can see the different bits and pieces. Or my other thought is that I will record a vlog working through the test knit, because again, I'm interested watching those sorts of YouTubes, and I quite like hearing of people's journeys and also where they get stuck. And it may not be anything to do with the pattern, but it's just where we get stuck when we're knitting. So that's my other thought, that I might do that today and work through a vlog of that particular test knit. So watch this space. It may or may not happen, but watch this space. So I don't have any other acquisitions to share with you. Thank you so much again for all of the subscribers over this last 2 weeks since my last podcast. It's really lovely to see those numbers now. I am fully aware that they could just go the other way after this podcast, but it was just lovely to see that the numbers increasing, and the engagement and the community and the conversation that was happening in the comments. Actually, that reminds me to go back to my NYX sweater. What I had mentioned was potentially adding colour back in on the bottom, and somebody, again, I am so sorry, I can't remember the name, I should have looked it up before I started, but they had suggested that I did the ribbing in a colour work, like a 1x1 or a 2x2, whatever, and I thought that would be really pretty. So that was another really good suggestion. So the comments have been really lovely, just to get ideas and to have that conversation in the comments. So again, if there's anything through this, or if you want to help me with the Rusty Socks heel, if there's any other suggestions, please use the comments below, because it was really lovely just getting those ideas and seeing what other people think and what they see, which I maybe don't see, but you're like, oh, that would be really lovely. So use the comments. It was really nice to hear from a lot of you in the comments on the previous video. Until the next time, enjoy your knitting or your crafting or whatever it is that you're working on. I hope that you're all well, and I will see you the next time. Bye!